Now, I know every time I do one of these draft grade videos, I'm opening myself up for criticism a year, 2, 3, 4+ years down the road. Oh well, so be it. It's interesting to talk about, and frankly, sometimes I'll be right and sometimes I'll be wrong, and that is okay. Every time you're wrong is an opportunity to learn and grow and improve. Furthermore, when you think about it, like if we didn't do this type of stuff, we wouldn't have nearly the conversation points that we do when talking about a draft or talking about free agency or what have you. Now, when I look at the NFL draft and I'm grading teams, part of the thing I'm looking at is things such as philosophy and approach, the way the draft board played out and what they ultimately did, seeing an overarching strategy. Sometimes it can be draft pick capital acquired in this draft pick capital acquired for future drafts, draft pick capital given up in this or future drafts. It could also be about the draft picks that you had and the players that were used, that were received or gotten with those picks that were used. In some cases, that can come via a trade, and that to me does need to factor into a draft grade. Like if you give up a first or a first and third round pick for a superstar, a legit superstar, like let's say what the Cleveland Browns did to get Odell Beckham Jr., then that has a significant impact on the draft grade for them, even though he wasn't a draft pick per se. But when I look at the AFC North, it's kind of a mixed bag. You had a couple of teams that I think went for impact, a couple of teams, or one team that I think really went for like an overarching strategy and theme of trying to improve team speed. And then you have the Cincinnati Bengals. And I really didn't understand the Bengals draft all that much. Now, the first round pick, Jonah Williams, I can get. If you weren't big on Dwayne Haskins, then don't draft him. Just because you need a young, long-term answer at the quarterback position so you can finally move on from Andy Dalton, that does not mean that you automatically have to draft one in round one. If you don't feel it's right, if you don't feel he's the right guy, and you don't feel the value is there, then you don't take him. Now, you don't pass him up over the potential or possibility of what a quarterback class a year or two could be down the road, because you never know. You never know what can happen. So I can justify the Bengals taking Jonah Williams at number 11. Like, this is a solid offensive lineman, should be able to stick at tackle, no problem. Will play a long time in the league and probably be a decent to high-level starter. Maybe Pro Bowler. Okay. Offensive linemen can tend to be safer first-round picks. I get where you're not swinging for the fences and trying to hit a home run, but you've got a nice double or triple here at least. And frankly, if you're the Bengals, you just need more good players, period. It's, to me, the reaching on Drew Sample at the end of round two, in round two. Like, I get, Tyler Eifert has talent, but he's always hurt, so you can't count on him, and you need more at the tight end position. I don't dispute that, but there were better, more athletic tight ends on the board. I think Sample's a good player. I don't think he was worth the pick that they spent on him. Jermaine Pratt, another linebacker they spent like a mid-round pick on. They've been doing this a lot, and where's the payoff really been for that? They did take a quarterback in the fourth round of Ryan Finley, but how much better at his best? How much better would he be than Andy Dalton? Well, if anything else, if he was to develop into Andy Dalton, at least you could say for the next few years, you'd have him on a rookie contract, he would be a hell of a lot cheaper than Dalton. So there is that. But looking at this draft, outside of the Jonah Williams pick, probably the picks I like the most. I thought Finley was okay in round 4. Worth a shot. I like the pick of the two running backs around 6, Travion Williams and Rodney Anderson. Look, if Rodney Anderson could stay healthy, he would have been a late first round, early mid second round pick. He's had a lot of injury histories, had trouble staying on the field, but when he can play, he could be really good. And frankly, you're talking about the end of round 6, it is worth the damn flyer there. Travion Williams could be a guy that helps spell Joe Mixon. One of those two guys is going to contribute at the running back position. But I just overall didn't like their draft that much, and that's why I gave them a C-. I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, this was about quality over quantity. The fact that they moved up about 10 spots to go get Devin Bush, including giving up their 20th pick, a second-round pick this year, and a second-round pick next year, feels like a big price to pay. But if you're the Steelers, you've already lost Antonio Brown via trade, Le'Veon Bell via free agency. You have a ever decreasing window of opportunity to contend and win a championship, you got to get some impact players. And you could tell on that defense that they still miss the presence that Ryan Shazier had. And while Devin Bush is a slightly different player, he could be an impact player for them in the middle of that defense. And that Steelers defense for so many years has been built around the strength of the play of the linebackers. It makes sense to invest in a guy like Devin Bush. As when you invest in your secondary, it usually doesn't go well. Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver, in round 3, not the most notable of names, but I will at least say when it comes to the wide receiver position, the Pittsburgh Steelers at least deserve a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. They tend to do a good job of evaluating the position, and if they think Deontay Johnson's worth a third-round pick, then he very well might be. I did like the pick of Benny Snell in round 4, give you some depth at the running back position behind James Conner. A little bit of a different type of player, a little more physical, I guess you would say, than Conner, even though Conner is physical in and of himself. But Snell is more of a grinder between the tackles type of guy, doesn't quite offer the same versatility. But again, you're talking about a depth pick. To me, as much as anything else, though, this draft for the Steelers is about Devin Bush playing like a top 10 pick early on. If he does that, then it helps make the Steelers a better team, and it definitely helps make the Steelers a better defense. Otherwise, if he doesn't, there might not be a ton of contribution coming out of this class for them. The Baltimore Ravens, to me, Eric DeCosta's first draft in charge, you could see there was a clear approach here to want to get speed and athleticism, especially on the offensive side of the ball. That first-round pick of Hollywood Brown, you need somebody for Lamar Jackson to throw the football to. Time to go get a quick, shifty, speedy slot type of guy. Now, the size profile for guys like that being successful in the NFL, the track record, the history is not great, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. Because when he was healthy at Oklahoma, he was scary. He was very scary. So it makes sense. You got your young quarterback last year, Lamar Jackson. Now it's time to put some pieces around him, like taking Miles Boykin, the wide receiver from Notre Dame, in round number 3. Justice Hill, the running back from Oklahoma State, in round number 4. You look at Boykin, you didn't see the most out of him at Notre Dame in 2018, but the guy has all the tools. And if he becomes a Kenny Golladay type of guy, which is kind of what I envision him being, then the Ravens are going to be really, really happy with what they got here. And Justice Hill in round 4, you talk about a change of pace, shifty speed type of back. Again, getting some speed on that offense was clearly the approach. Jalen Ferguson in round 3, you lose Zadarius Smith in free agency, bring in another young edge rusher, I guess, with the system that the Ravens run. You can never have enough of them. You don't have Zadarius Smith. You don't have Terrell Suggs. So I could get down with that. And Jalen Ferguson was a guy at one point in time that a lot of people were mocking in the mid to late first round area or second round area, and the Ravens got him in round number 3, so that could potentially be viewed as decent value. That's why I kind of gave them a grade of a B-. I like the approach. I like the strategy. To me, it was clear that Eric DeCosta in his first draft, truly running the show, had a vision and a strategy, and he executed upon it. I do think the biggest winners here are the Cleveland Browns. Not because of the quality of the number of picks that they had or the number of guys that they took that are going to be real impact players. But you start off with the fact that they took their first and third round pick and turned them into Odell Beckham Jr. With where they were originally drafting at 17, were they really going to get a player better than Odell Beckham Jr.? Hell to the no. As a result, you've now got a franchise-breaking, he could be franchise-breaking. You got a game-changing type of franchise elite number 1 wide receiver for your young quarterback, Baker Mayfield. It made so much sense. It's one of those things, especially if you're the Cleveland Browns. You've had enough draft picks. Now it's time to get some impact players and get some stars and really get serious about crap. And trading for Odell Beckham Jr. was absolutely the right move. Regardless of how it pans out or doesn't pan out, it was the right approach, it was the right strategy, and it was the right decision to make at the right time for this organization. You needed that dude. Odell Beckham Jr. is that dude. And that carries a lot of weight in this draft. Because the chances of those first and third round picks they have combined even equaling close to Odell Beckham Jr.'s production is probably slim to none. I love the fact that they were able to get Greedy Williams in round 2. Now here's a guy that his production and projection are a little different. Maybe he could have played a little bit better at times at LSU. He was a guy that people were mocking, including myself at one point in time, top 10, top 15, top 20, top 5 pick even. And then you get him here in the middle of round 2. But you're gambling on a guy with some size and some length. It's worth the gamble. It really, really is. I like the pick of Red Wine in round 4. Mac Wilson could be a little bit of a bargain there, the linebacker from Alabama in round 5. It was about where he should have been drafted somewhere in round 4, round 5. He had been massively overrated in the months leading up to the draft, but he could still represent some good value here. But as much as anything else, I gave the Cleveland Browns a B here because, by God, you can take a first and third round pick, and not even a super high first or third round pick, but middle of the road first or third round pick, and turn him into one of the elite players at their position in the league. You do it every single time. You learn from the lessons of the Khalil Mack trade from the Chicago Bears standpoint last year. They had other pieces in place. It was time to go get an impact player, a difference maker. They did. And look at what the hell the Bears did. The Browns would be happy to have a similar type of progression in 2019. I love the fact that they were able to get him. Bengals, not so much.